Our daughter attends PS number 5 school, and she is in the first grade. We have been having serious issues with her teacher victimizing us, which started to become out of hand since February of this year. Since February, we have met with the teacher, the school principal, and the assistant principal, and are not satisfied with the results. We then brought the concern to the attention of Mr. Waterman, who advised us that we meet with Mr. Walker, which we did on May 21st. Mr. Walker recommended that we have an additional meeting with him, the teacher, and the assistant principal, which was scheduled to occur on May 24th. However, we had to reschedule this due to my wife's work commitments. We had asked Mr. Walker to provide an alternative date in which we have had no response. We have sent numerous emails to no avail. Mr. Waterman followed up with Mr. Walker, and we were advised that Mr. Walker had spoken with the teacher and had insinuated that the problem was that I was flirting with her, which is just plain ridiculous. I do not understand why our concerns have not been taken seriously. Prior to February, our daughter was an excellent student, very happy and scoring 4s on her report card. We got along with the teacher very well, as abrupt as she is. Everything started to unravel after we received a shocking complaint letter from the teacher, which she inferred that we were harassing her on her cell phone. Earlier in the school year, the teacher had called my wife using her cell phone. We returned a call to her during that period, and from September until February, we have made a total of 3 calls regarding homework. You can understand why we were surprised to receive this letter. The tone of the letter was unpleasant, so we had discussed this with the teacher and the principal, and we were told that it was a simple misunderstanding, and we have not called her since. Unfortunately, from this point, the teacher and her assistant have set a destructive path of victimization of me in particular, my wife, and more recently, our child. This is completely unacceptable. Things include the teacher refusing to meet with me regarding a punishment that was handed out to our daughter before we knew what the punishment was or why she got in trouble. Having my wife wait up to 6 weeks to meet with her on a progress report that she received. Now, since February, she is finding issues with our daughter and is also plummeting in her grades, going from 4s to 1 in certain areas. After we met with Mr. Walker, we were horrified when our child's progress report now indicated behavior problems, which she's never had. It has become nearly impossible to communicate with this teacher. Mr. Walker and Dr. Epps, we are annoyed that we have to come here tonight to address why nothing has been done with our complaint or this teacher. We are concerned that Mr. Walker seems to think that there was some appropriate attention being given to this teacher by me, when in actuality, I don't see this teacher during drop-off time, and in the afternoon pickup, there are several parents around. Since February, I have barely spoken to her. I don't even pick up my child or collect my child in front of the teacher. I wait for her a few feet from the exit, and my child would run up and greet me. This teacher has a pattern of victimizing children and parents, often in the first 2 weeks of the school year, and there are many parents insisting that they have their child moved from her class to another class because she is so appalling and nasty. Every year this happens. Every year the teacher gets away with this. Every year the principal has done nothing but move the children to avoid Mr. Walker or Dr. Epps finding out that there is an issue. This is unacceptable and it must stop. The parent council president from last year, Ms. Gina Ho, actually encouraged 6 parents to sit down with the principal and teacher, as they were so outraged that they were going to come to a Board of Ed meeting to complain. The result was that the principal moved the children. This has taken a toll on my child and myself and my wife. She is now emotional, fearful of school, and her grades have been hugely impacted. I have cystic fibrosis with minimal lung capacity. I'm consistently monitored by doctors and on a lung transplant waiting list. Since February, my lung capacity has dropped from 40% to 28%. Mr. Walker and Dr. Epps, we want to know what is going to be done about this.
This is the first that I'm hearing of it. I don't know. Mr. Walker, there has been a meeting since the
Excuse
May
me,
20?
Dr. Epps, I'm sorry to interrupt. I find that hard to believe because I did CC you on one of the emails that I sent to Mr. Walker.
They all go through the associate superintendent until it's resolved. So consequently, I am not aware of it. If I was aware of it, I don't know anything about a meeting. Mr. Walker? Yes, I'd like for you to respond, and then I'll be happy to handle it.
Yes, Dr. Epps, there was some allegations being made by Mr. Figueroa and his wife in reference to a situation at the school based upon his child. I received a call from Mr. Waterman. He made mention about he had spoken with, Mr. Waterman. He had spoken to the parent at number 5 school. They were concerned about some things that were going on in the school. And just like any other situation, before I could come up with any kind of resolve, my position is to investigate and to investigate thoroughly. I had Mr. Figueroa and Mrs. Figueroa in my office for over an hour discussing the circumstances, listening to their allegations based on what was taking place from the 5 school. That was the first time I was made aware. I was so concerned based upon what they told me that I said that this was on a Friday, and I told them, I said, I want to go down to number 5 school right now and meet with this teacher to find out what's going on based on the allegation, because what you're saying to me is totally inappropriate. When I called them, because it was on a Friday, I said Monday will be the first day that we can meet. I called the principal at number 5 school and said, I want to meet with the teacher first thing Monday morning. When I called back, or I spoke with Mrs. Figueroa and Mr. Figueroa, they said that they couldn't make it on Monday. And I said, well, if you can't make it on Monday, then we'll try for another day. They indicated that Mrs. Figueroa worked, and at 1 o'clock she'd have the opportunity to be able to do that. I responded back to the emails that they sent me to let them know that we're in the process of investigating. I met with the teacher. I heard what she said based upon the circumstances. At that point in time, I have no opinion of what had taken place because I'm still investigating. Once I am able to get the information back and review with her along with the principal based upon the child, then we'll come to some kind of conclusion. If they need to meet again, we will. But one thing that I did tell them was that there are some concerns in reference to the young lady received 4s in the beginning part of the year. Well, that oftentimes happens because students are doing well based upon work that they're familiar with. The middle part of the year, going into the 3rd marking period, they start to face new work and they're greater challenge in terms of circumstances. But there's some history behind this, and there's another concern because of the fact that the students are at the young lady is there based upon special permission, open enrollment.
Who is that student?
Right. She doesn't reside in number 5's district. She resides in number 11 school's district, and then there was some concerns based upon the fact that the father lives in North Bergen and the mother resides in Jersey City. And so there's some issues, and so it's going to take some time to iron out these wrinkles in terms of what's going on. So at this point in time, there's nothing definite based upon a position, but there is a thorough investigation that's going on. And once we find out and get to the bottom of what's taking place, then I think you'll be satisfied with the results of what's taking place. But what I don't want to happen at this point in time, and what I think is happening, is that the young lady is getting mixed up in adult circumstances, and she's right now the victim in this process, the student. And we're trying to avoid that based upon the adults, the parents' behavior, and any school behavior or staff behavior. And as I explained to them from the very beginning, the only person I'm concerned about in this situation is a young lady. I'm not concerned about you, and I'm not concerned about the staff, then I'm concerned about the young lady. And if there's a situation where there's a problem going on based upon what's happening at home, or there's a problem in the school, we'll get to the bottom of it, but we all have to work together to help resolve this situation. It's not going to happen if you're not cooperative, or if the school's not cooperative, but you have to give us time to investigate, because from what I understand, this has been going on for a long time based upon your perception of what's taking place. And we want to get to the facts. You made mention to some things that are going on based upon what's happening with you, but we want to know what's happening with your child, because so far, based upon the school, she's doing well. So my thing, Doctor, the story, if it's coming out, I want all the facts. I don't want it to be partial or biased based upon their perception. We are working on it. There's things going on.